Well, welcome back, everybody. This video is going to look at what the finishing moves are with a piece of artwork. Finishing is when, after you've created a piece of art, we go back and make adjustments to it. Because after looking at a thing for as long as we have, we may not see errors in contrast or adjustments that need to be made. The color flats method that I've taught you gives you tremendous flexibility. Because what if your editor comes to you and says, hey, that looks great. Can you change the shorts from orange to purple? Well, if we had done everything on one layer, or if we had drawn this traditionally, then we would have to paint over the shorts. We would lose all the time spent on the shadow and the lighting, and we'd have to redo it all from scratch just for this area. With the color flats, we focus on what's called colorization. That gives us the advantage of not having to do all that stuff because we have just a solid tone of orange. Our light is its own layer that is see-through and working with the orange. So no matter what color those orange shorts become, like so, we will have light that still works with it. So in order to change the color of a thing, what you do is you get the magic wand and you go to your flats layer. Make sure that that flats layer is unlocked because we're going to be making changes to it. Click with the magic wand and then shift click to make sure all of the orange areas are selected. And now I'm going to go up to Image, Adjustments, and let's try some micromanagement. We're going to go Color Balance. That's Command B. And it brings up the color balance window. If we want to warm up the color of the shorts, add some red to it. That actually looks pretty cool. If you want to cool it off, take away red and add cyan. Or cool it off even more and add blue and cyan. It allows you some fine tuning, which can be a little complicated, which will lead me to the second way of colorizing. With the flats selected, the orange shorts selected, I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Hue, and Saturation. This allows us to control the saturation level of the color, meaning how much color there is. So if you want more orange, just bring the sat slider up, and it becomes very bold, almost overpowering. I think that because we've worked on these mid-tone flats that it needs some saturation, so I'm going to add some, but I'm not going to be heavy-handed with it. Hue helps you control what the hue of the shorts is, and this allows you to drag a slider across this rainbow and shift to a variety of different colors. Now notice, because our layers were transparent, meaning we have our light on top, we have our shadow on top. Those layers are working with the coloring. Now it's harder to see the light with some of these. For example, the bright light disappears against yellow shorts, or against a darker color, we can see the light a little better. But this is a way that you can control the colors within your piece. It's really cool. Now, also, I deliberately used the color black for my ambient occlusion, and let's just say I'm not too happy with that. If you want things to look less flat, then use cool colors. I'm going to show you a different way to change the color of a thing, because if we go to black, we can't shift colors of black, okay? We need to manually change it from black to a different color, and then we need to make changes to it from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my shadow layer, and as you can see, I fused my shadow layer and my ambient occlusion layers together because I really don't need to make changes to them anymore. We sometimes can do that at the end if you're happy with your shadows. As beginners, I recommend that you leave your AO layer, if you've done it, and your shadow layers separate. So, but for now, I'm going to make sure that I've got it unlocked, my shadow layer, and I'm going to go over here to lock transparent pixels. This is going to allow me to paint every pixel that exists without going outside of the shadow. I'm going to choose just kind of a dark blue, navy blue, and with a full opacity brush, just with my mouse, cover every single shadow with that. Now let's see what we have now. What we had was black. Now we've got this nice navy blue shadow, and we can now colorize it. So we could play with the satin. Probably don't need to. And we can now shift the colors of the shadows to like warm shadows or cool shadows. yellow shadows, red shadows. I recommend just leaving it as a little bit of blue, and you can adjust the darkness to suck the life out of it or the brightness to completely blow it out. Let's not really mess with that. I'm going to leave that at 0. To desaturate it and make it just straight up black again, you can pull the sat all the way out, or you can max it. So I've got a nice cool color for my shadows, and I think that gives it a little bit more life. Now let's colorize and change the shirt. I'm going to change the shirt of the color flats to more of a maybe a dark blue. So make sure you use your magic wand. Make sure that you shift click any little holes in the colors that you might have missed. So for example, over here, I need to make sure the blue of this area of the shirt is highlighted. And I need to make sure that the blue over here is highlighted. And now on my flats layer, let's pull up our hue and saturation. And I think I'm going to go more towards a darker blue and maybe darken the color. That pulls some of the color out. Let's darken it and then sat, increase sat. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Makes it a little bit more of a dark color. But you can do all sorts of changes like this. You can change the skin tone. We could change his nationality. We could change his complexion. So if we want him to be like he's been in a basement and not exposed to light very much, then we can maybe pull some of the sat out and shift him more to maybe, now he's like purple like an alien. Give him more like, now he's blue like a Smurf. In this case, I think image adjustments and then color balance might be better because you can fine tune it. Let's add a little more cyan. Let's warm him up with a little magenta. And let's add a little more blue. And then from there, we can go to hue and saturation and suck some of the color out if we needed to. Or brighten him up so that he's very pale, right? And we can just cancel out of this or undo as needed. Finally, this is what you're about to see is a little bit more advanced. So I'm going to play with the contour lines a little. You can totally do the exact same thing to the contour lines that you saw me do to the shadows. But before that, I'm going to go back and make sure I've got all my other layers locked so I don't mess anything up. And now I'm going to unlock my line art, and I'm going to lock the transparent pixels of the line art. Instead of solid black, what if we had more of like a dark navy blue color, or even like a stylized red color? I mean, you could do something like that. But first, I'm going to get a hard edge brush, and oh boy, I did something weird over here. There's some pixel information. Oh, I get it. There's some white I painted in there to clean up my line art, but I'll just avoid those areas. So with my line, let's do like a blue. You could change the line art to blue, and I don't think it works very well for this, but it is a way to add a cool stylization to it. You could change it now that it is blue. You could then colorize because you can't colorize black. So let's try that. Let's go adjustments. Let's see what the line looks like if we play with hue and saturation. Yeah, changing the contrast. It makes for a fun effect, but I'm going to leave it black. Lastly, because our shadows are in their own layer, if they're too overpowered as being solid black, then you can also adjust the opacity of those shadows by playing with the opacity slider. Now, that'll dim the image quite a bit, but it gives you that contrast that you need. Alrighty, so we'll look at a couple other effects in the next video, but this has been a little bit of a review on colorization. I don't recommend that you colorize your light, but in the next vid, let's look at bounced light and why we would apply that to a form. So I hope you guys found this helpful, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time in class. Take care, everybody.